Hi, I'm Late Potato Chip. I'm a one, soon to be two times qualifier to the Pokemon World Championship, and most importantly, I'm a big VTuber fan. And one of the VTuber organizations I really enjoy, VSPO, is hosting a Pokemon Champions tournament with seven of their talents, with commentary by Hiraiwa Kosuke, who has done a bunch of Apex commentary, uh, Hakushu Takeuchi, who has commentated the Pokemon Japan Championship Series, or the qualifier for Japanese players to into the Pokemon World Championship, and one of their talents, Kisaragi Ren. And because I like Vispo and I like Pokemon, I figured that it would be a fun thing to go through each of the teams of the seven participants, kind of analyze what works with their team, why it's good, and then after I've gone through everybody's team, just highlighting what I think each team and player can do to gain an edge. Um, Keep in mind, I have recreated these teams based on their most recent Pokemon Champion stream. So some of these sets may be different in the final games, in the final tournaments, but this is just the information that I am working on and off of about 11 hours before the tournament. So let's jump right in and kind of go in order. So first we have Kokage Tsumugi with a fairly standard rain core of Pelipper, Archaludon, Dragonite, Basculegion. You'll often see uh, this these four work together, especially with Dragonite's special set. The interesting things about these four is Pelipper having Wide Guard, which will be beneficial against opposing spread damage. The Archaludon having Draco Meteor, but otherwise a pretty standard set. A Mystic Water Swift Swim Basculegion, which will very much help it in late game situations where they will have to play against other Basculegions. And special, well, this is actually more so mixed Dragonite with the Mega Dragonite with Multi-Scale, Hurricane, Extreme Speed, and Draco Meteor. The other two to round it out, the second Mega, I believe the only one to have two Megas. I'm not 100% sure. I'll have to check that. Mega Blastoise taking advantage of the rain to fire off fast, powerful water spouts, and taking advantage of Mega Blastoise's Mega Launcher ability in Aura Sphere and Dark Pulse. And finally, to round it out, we have Talonflame, which is kind of an option for faster Tailwind, faster Rain Dance setting with Tailwind, Protect, Rain Dance, and Dual Wing Beats. This team wants to go very fast, hit hard with Blastoise and Basculegion. Actually, all four of their hitters in Basculegion, Blastoise, Archaludon, and Dragonite have the potential to output massive damage, especially with Archaludon's Electro Shot, boosting its damage in the rain. And I think if Tsumugi can get a speed advantage, they will be able to have the potential to blow through teams. Second, we have Toya Hanabi with a very interesting take on the Halucha Oko team. So we have Hippowdon with Earthquake, Protect, Fissure, Ice Fang. We have Snorlax with Leftover, Stick Fat, Smackdown, Fissure, Body Press, Protect. We have Black Glasses King Gambit with Supreme Overlord, Kowtow Cleave, Sucker Punch, Guillotine, and Protect. We have Blizzard, Sheer Cold, Icy Wind, Ice Shard, Soundproof, Akaberry, Abomasnow, going Soundproof to not overlap with the weather of already having the Sandstorm effect in Hippowdon. And an Akaberry to kind of get around the fire weakness that King Gambit and Excadrill have. Abomasnow still will be 2 times weak, but hopefully just won't get immediately blown up by a stiff flame. We have the enabler of the entire composition, Hawlucha, with the Hawlucha Knight, who is designed to use entrainment to give its ability No Guard to any one of its 5 teammates. And what that will do is it makes any move a guaranteed hit on for moves that target and it uses. So if it gave entrainment to King Gambit, it would always hit all of its moves if it's not into non-protects, but also every move would guarantee hit King Gambit as well. So no missing here. And then Excadrill with two Oko moves in Horn Drill, Fissure, and then rounding it out with Earthquake and Protect. This is a very scary team if you don't know what you're doing. And even if you do know what you're doing and you're not prepared into it, so I would keep an eye on this as something to look forward to. Um, I think that a lot of people, a lot of participants might not know what Hippowdon, Snorlax, Abomasnow, and Hawlucha will do. So I think there's a lot of potential for Hanami to just jump scare people and take them out. We have Ginjo Saine, one of the more recent additions to the VSPO roster, with a Sun Core of Whimsicott Charizard, uh, number one enemy this format, White Herb, Fake Out, Close Combat, Dire Claw Sneasler. We have Bright Powder Garchomp trying to get a little bit of extra luck to go in their way, especially with Dragon Claw and Earthquake Rock Slide. Next to Rotom being immune to that Earthquake with Hydro Pump, Thunderbolt, Volt Switch, and Will-O-Wisp with the Citrus Berry. Kind of a more bulkier, more like Rotom wash set than what you might see with a Choice Scarf set. And then finally, we've got Aegis Slash with Leftovers, very interesting item choice, with King Shield, Iron Head, Poltergeist, and Shadow Sneak. This team wants to go incredibly fast with Whimsicott and just pump out damage with the top four. And I think the defensive backbone of Aegis Slash and Rotom are very, very good additions to it. And I think this will be a pretty dangerous team to go against. And there's always that threat that Garchomp will just dodge an ability and then just take you out instead after you think that you have taken out the last of its HP. One of the things that this team might struggle with is the Charizard is the only weather setter. Oftentimes you'll see Whimsicott with Sunny Day just to ensure that if another Pokemon will overwrite the weather, they can always maintain weather control. So if the speed control is lost or Whimsicott goes down, then Charizard might become a little bit more vulnerable. But I think that the main core of Charizard, Sneasler, Garchomp is very strong, and I think that this team is very well constructed to support that core. We have Rico Solari, the only EN member. I was about to say English, but she's French. Anyway, the only EN member of the team, and the only one who, admittedly, I can understand when I was watching their stream, electing to go with Mega Starmie as the primary Mega and effectively damage dealer, with additional range support in Focus Sash Pelipper once again, and Leftovers are Caledon. Yet another White Herb Sneasler with Close Combat, Dire Claw, Fake Out, Protect. Choppleberry King Gambit, which is not something that we will see throughout the rest of these teams, and Lumberry Garchomp to try to avoid getting confused, burned, slept by Dire Claw, you name it, it can get around it, but just once. This team is very interesting and leans very heavily into the weather mode, with Kingambit and Arcaladon kind of being the supports of overriding weather, and Garchomp with Rockslide to try to get around the Sun matchup. Starmie notably does not have a Psychic move. It is Liquidation, Aqua Jet, Ice Spinner, so it can't necessarily one-shot Sneasers in the Sun, I believe. So that will be something that is a little bit spooky. But I think that if Rico can get the speed control and utilize these defensive pieces in Fake Out and a Garchomp or King Gambit swap to get around like Starmie's weaknesses, she can do very well. And King Gambit and Garchomp actually really, really do really well in covering Starmie's weaknesses, with dark types being resisted by Gambit, and electric types being resisted by Garchomp, and also grass types being resisted by Archaludon. So a lot of these pieces are there to support the Starmie, and if she can work around these defensive switch-ins, I think she can do very well as well. We have Kurumi Noah, who is using a little bit of an offshoot of the Aaron Cybertron Zang team, with Sableye, Archaludon, Basculegion, Pelipper, Sinistcha, and Dragonite. Now there are some key changes between the between the Cybertron team and this one. Notably, Sableye does not have Quash and does not have Reflect. Still has Rain Dance, but this special bulk is very helpful, but without the physical bulk, it is a little bit more vulnerable to say honestly King Gambit is going to be a little bit of an issue. Was that is that actually flamethrower? Maybe, I don't remember. That might be incorrect. That's okay. Notably, Sableye does not have the Roselli Berry, so it is not resisting any fairy type damage, so it could just get nuked off the face of the earth by a Mega Floette. But spoiler alert, there are no Mega Floettes in this tournament, so Leftovers is actually a quite good substitute for once the Citrus Berry is already taken. Archaludon has the White Herb item, which will allow it to just use Draco Meteor multiple times in succession without worrying about lowering its damage output as often. Um, but a lot, and Sinistcha notably does not have Trick Room. It is Matcha Gotcha, Life 2 Strength Sap, Rage Powder. So it's there to just stick around on the field, be annoying, and protect its partners throughout the entirety of the game. Very similar to Tsumugi's team, with an extra Rain Dance setter alongside Pelipper. You got the same four core, except the Basculegion is adaptability. And the difference is that instead of a Blastoise in a second Mega, it is a Sinistcha there to support it. So I think it'll be very interesting if these two play in the tournament to see, well, if they're how the speed interactions between the Dragonite, Pelipper, and Archaludon are, and whether or not the extra Mega will be a factor in Tsumugi's team versus the supportive capabilities of Sinistcha. We have Kogara Toto with a very interesting Trick Room team. So we have two Trick Room setters in Mental Herb, Mimikyu, and Sinistcha, and that should not have a Citrus Berry. I believe this is supposed to be a Focus Sash. But pretend that this Sinistcha is holding a Focus Sash. We have Alchemy with Citrus Berry and Aroma Veil. So Aroma Veil preventing taunts, encores, and mental status moves. Kind of aiding Sinistcha in not allowing it to get encored into Trick Room, for example. We have the Mega of Choice, Audino, very cute Pokemon, with Dazzling Gleam, Hyper Voice, Thunderbolt, and Protect, being supported by Alchemy's Decorate, which gives it a +2/+2 into its offensive stats. So trying to really just hound in on, like, Audino's and Mimikyu and Sinistcha are going to do damage. And just in case they don't get to set up the Trick Room, there's a White Herb Sneasler. You know him, you love him. Most people don't. And a Dragonite, which is a much different set than we've been seeing, with Extreme Speed, Earthquake, Dragon Claw. So taking a little bit more of an offensive approach in its physical offense, and having a Lumberry to get around burns. Finally, we've got Tosaki Mimi's team, with a Sunny Day Whimsicott, very similar core and concept to Ginja Saine's team, except the Steel type of choice is a Black Glasses King Gambit, and the Rotom slot the water slot is a Basque Legion. Basque Legion tending to be a little bit stronger than Rotom, able to having a lot better closing capabilities. I think this is a very standard team. It is a very strong team, and that's supposed to be Earthquake. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Uh, it is a very strong team, and I think this will probably be the team to beat. Sunny Day will overwrite the weather of four of the opponents. Um, with only yeah, everyone here has some form of weather. We have two Sunsetters, or except for Toto, right? Um, yeah, so Sunny Day will overwrite the weather of four of their opponents. Charizard will output a lot of damage. Sneasler and Garchomp are consistent offensive threats, and Kingambit and Basque Legion are very strong closers. So I think that Tosaki Mimi is probably the team to beat, and the way that she should play all of her sets against the weather teams is just by probably utilizing Whimsicott Charizard to just blow a hole through their team, and then having Basque Legion and Kingambit as potential backup pieces in order to close out the game. There's not really much to say about it. It's just a sheer offensive team, and I think the struggle that you might have is getting around Kugara Toto's team with the Mental Herb Mimikyu, and seeing if the Trick Room that Toto is building her team around will be a problem for this faster team. That being said, King Gambit is a pretty reasonable answer to the Trick Room capabilities, being able to hit the Alchemy and Sinistra for super effective damage. That being said, I think that Mimi's game plan of Whimsicott Charizard lead it's very reliable. It's probably gonna work a lot of the time. So Kugara Toto is very, very reliant on Trick Room. A lot of these teams have Tailwind or fast pieces. So we have Whimsicott, we have Choice Scarf Basque Legion. On those team, we have Tailwind, another Choice Scarf Basque Legion. We have a Tailwind and very fast Sneasler, Starmie, and Garchomp. We have another Tailwind setter, and another fast Charizard and Sneasler. We'll get back to Hanabi's team, and then here we have double Tailwind and Swift Swim. So getting that speed advantage is going to be very, very important, and I think that she has to use her Decorate to take very good advantage of her Trick Room turns in order to get enough damage going in Trick Room in order to make it so that the opposing teams don't have many resources by the end of the game to deal with the late game Sneasler, late game Dragonite, or they're stuck dealing with a +4/+4 Sinistra, which is just healing itself with Machagacha every turn. Against Hanabi's team, it's a little bit tough, but I think Sinistra is going to be very important in that matchup in avoiding the entrainment shenanigans, and then being able to, since their fast modes of Sneasler and Dragonite don't really do that well into Hawlucha, you're going to have to really take advantage of the Trick Room turns and avoid Mega Hawlucha being able to run through the team by just clicking entrainments onto everything. With Noah, I think that Sableye will help. Rain Dance Sableye will help a lot into the Sun cores, and ag- against opposing Rain, which is going to be the kind of the case with Noah, with Rico, and Samuki, is everyone's going to be playing chicken with their Basculegion and Arcalodons. That is the way that it's been when there was a Rain core developing in early parts of Regulation H. Yes, Regulation H. Is that the game was decided by how well you played your Arcalodon and Basculegion, and whether or not teams were playing chicken with their Pelipper. Because sometimes you just lead two Rain Pokemon and say, I think the other person is going to bring their Pelipper. And then if they did, then you were in a great spot. And if they didn't, then you're in a little bit of an awkward spot. That being said, Sableye is a very good answer and a very good, I won't say patch up, but it helps a lot in that matchup because it can set light screen and protect your Caledon and Basculegion for a little bit longer, especially with Encore support, and Foul Play will honestly just kind of destroy Basculegions. Um, I think the addition of Sinistra will also protect all of these offensive pieces, which will be a leg up in the opposing Rain matchups. And I think Sableye having Rain Dance will do wonders in the Sun matchups and getting around Hanabi's team with Encore and making sure that Rain stays up so you can just continuously attack all of these these Pokemon threatening Oko moves. With Rico's team, it's a little bit spooky. So there's no manual weather like Sumugi and Noah's team. So the weather is completely based off Pelipper. So she will have to use her non-weather Pokemon, more so Kingambit, Garchomp, or Caledon, to kind of set the pace and always threaten Pelipper from a Pelipper switch in. Like make that Whimsicott click Sunny Day and think that Pelipper is going to come in. That kind of play. Starmie is really funny. I really like Starmie, and I think it is very scary to bring into these Sun teams, but it can be done. And you'll have to, and Rico will have to just use Garchomp and Arcalon to get around the threatening damage of Charizard and Whimsicott, and it's going to be a lot of switching and finding damage when you can, and then finally taking a knockout when you're ready. But I think Garchomp will be a very, very big piece in a lot of her game plan. Garchomp and Arcalodon will be a very, very big piece in a lot of her game plans, especially with the amounts of opposing Rain in the tournaments. Sine is going to be very similar with Tosaki Mimi, except with a lot less, with a little bit more difficult end games. I won't say like I'm saying difficult in that Aegislash and Rotom are very good at doing specific things. So Aegislash will absolutely wall Sneasler, which and Rotom Wash actually has a lot of good damage mitigation. So the way that this team can actually play is a little bit the opposite, where you're using Garchomp, Sneasler, Aegislash, and Rotom to just kind of damage mitigate and chip through their team and make them waste resources, and then you use Whimsicott and Charizard to kind of to close the game, rather than with Mimi's team you have Basculegion and Kingambit to close the game with very strong Last Respects and Kowtow, Cleave, Sucker Punch, and Sucker Punches. Hanabi, you click entrainment and you click your Oko moves. That's gonna be how you win the game. The key thing is just knowing which Pokemon to bring into which teams. So Snorlax's gonna do super well against the Sun teams due to Smackdown and Fissure. Hippowdon and Excadrill are gonna do are also going to do really well, pretty much across the board. Um, but I think there's always a threat that King Gambit can just pop in and do a lot of damage with Black Glass's Supreme Overlord, and will definitely be a very good closer. But like figuring out the first two Pokemon with Hawlucha +1 is going to be what sets the pace for Hanabi's team. And for Tsumugi, it is going to be deciding which Mega Evolution that you want to bring. The thing that sets her apart from the others is having two Mega Evolutions, and in Dragonite and Blastoise, whereas Rico has a primary Water type in her Mega, and Noah has a primary Mega in Dragonite. Tsumugi has both, and if she brings the wrong one, so bringing, say, Blastoise into a Whimsicott team, for example, a Sunny Day Whimsicott team where the Charizard are just going to click Solar Beam and just tear through the water types, that's bad. But if you're bringing Arcaludon and Dragonite and threatening these rain dances or switches, then she can do a lot better into these Sun teams. So the key is going to be which Mega do you bring, which Tailwind setter / Rain setter are you going to bring. I think Basculegion and Arcaludon are very flexible and can be brought in most cases. But you're kind of only bringing one or the other of these two pieces, of these two archetypes of the Mega and the Tailwind setter. And I think that she will need to figure that out on the fly. Well, that is all I have for now. I've been recording for 27 minutes. By the time this video will go live, there'll be about maybe 9 or 10 hours before the tournament, which starts at, I believe, 6 a.m. Eastern time. So unfortunately, I will be asleep for it. But for Europeans and Japanese people, you'll be able to watch it live, live. Um, and if you want to watch the VOD, you can watch it on the VSPO official channel in a few hours. Okay, bye.